Welcome in, Elder Scrolls fans, to part 2 of our new series, Elder Scrolls Lore Stories, where we dive into the details and history of different parts of lore in the Elder Scrolls universe. Today's video will be going over my favorite faction in the series, and that is the Dark Brotherhood. So if you'd like to learn a little bit about the lore and history of the Dark Brotherhood, then grab yourself a blanket, your favorite snack, kick back and relax, and enjoy this Elder Scrolls lore story on the Dark Brotherhood. So who is the Dark Brotherhood? The Dark Brotherhood is an organization of professional assassins with the purpose of earning coin per contracts. They are executioners of silence, harbingers of death, and with a divine purpose of serving the Dreadlord and following his desires, which they achieve through the world of the Night Mother. During the prime of the Dark Brotherhood, they'd had sanctuaries located throughout Cyrodiil, Skyrim, High Rock, Black Marsh, Elsewhere, and Morrowind. The Dark Brotherhood originally had sprung from a religious order of assassins called the Morag Tong, who worshipped the Daedric prince Mephala. Mephala encouraged the Morag Tong to commit ritualistic murders. At the time of the separation, the order was discarded as obscure cultists due to the lack of a leader in their group, which was about to change with the coming of the Night Mother. The Night Mother was a supposed lover and partner of Sithis. It is widely believed that the Night Mother was also the source of the doctrine dictating how the Morag Tong and eventually the Dark Brotherhood worked as a group. Some people actually thought the Night Mother was also the Daedric prince Mephala in the form of a mortal Dunmer woman. The 5 tenets are the rules and morals the Dark Brotherhood followed up to and through the end of the Third Era. If a member broke or neglected to follow one of the tenets, they were treated with expulsion from the Brotherhood or worse. The 5 tenets in all, as they followed, are 1. Never dishonor the Night Mother. To do so is to invoke the wrath of Sithis. 2. Never betray the Dark Brotherhood or its secrets. To do so is to invoke the wrath of Sithis. 3. Never disobey or refuse to carry out an order from a Dark Brotherhood superior. To do so is to invoke the wrath of Sithis. 4. Never steal the possessions of a Dark Brother or Dark Sister. To do so is to invoke the wrath of Sithis. And number 5. Never kill a Dark Brother or Dark Sister. To do so is to invoke the wrath of Sithis. These tenets were abandoned during the Fourth Era under Astrid's leadership. The governing body of the Dark Brotherhood was called the Black Hand. It was composed of 5 members, 4 speakers, which were the fingers of the Black Hand, and a listener, which was the thumb. The listener telepathically listened to and received commands from the Night Mother, relaying them to the 4 speakers. The speakers would then issue the commands and initiate the contracts to be completed by the Brotherhood's assassins. Each speaker had their own personal assistant called listeners, which were the nails on the Black Hand. The silencers could be deployed to complete contracts and eliminate any target they saw fit. The silencers qualified as members of the Black Hand, but their existence was kept secret from the rest of the Brotherhood. The Brotherhood's methods of recruiting were shadowy in nature and clouded in mystery. However, it was known that the Dark Brotherhood did not just blindly accept new recruits and members. A person who wished to join the Brotherhood had to first be noticed and demonstrate his or her skills in sneaking and assassination. When a person committed murder, a speaker would approach the killer and ask them to join the Brotherhood. If the offer was accepted, the killer would be given a formal, organized contract with a specific target to kill. Argonians born under the sign of the Shadow underwent training in stealth and combat as Shadow Skills. This training also enabled them to transfer to the Dark Brotherhood. Aside from Sithis, all members of the Brotherhood revered their unholy matron, the Night Mother, who served as their source of contracts. Listeners and keepers were intimately connected to the matron and would defend her with their lives, as is the case with Cicero and Alicent Dupree. Alicent Dupree was a member of the Dark Brotherhood who had become the last listener of the Black Hand by the year 4E 187. Her father, Uther Nir, had murdered her mother when she was young and had fled to the Dark Brotherhood, vowing to take revenge on him as an assassin. Dupree maintained a private residence in Bravel, from which she commuted to the Brotherhood's last Cyrodiilic sanctuary in Cheydinhal. While she was there, she discussed the state of the Brotherhood with Rasha. Among the topics they discussed the destruction of the Wayra Sanctuary and a potential reopening of the Shadow Skill training facility in Ark Black Marsh, but that plan was ultimately abandoned due to the lack of resources. When the feud between Bravel's 2 largest skooma traffickers turned violent, Dupree was forced to hire a battalion of sellswords to protect her and her property. Ultimately, the effort proved futile as she was tricked by her father and incinerated by his fiery spell. Dupree was killed by attempting in vain to guard the Night Mother's crypt with desecration. During the fight, an assassin named Garnag managed to escape with the Night Mother's body, saving it from destruction and ruining Uther Nir's plans to destroy the Dark Brotherhood entirely. During the Third Era, the Dark Brotherhood was active across much of Tamriel. While their existence was accepted, they were also widely ignored. During this time, the Dark Brotherhood worshipped the Daedric Prince Mephala as their leader and not Sithis, which was probably caused by the most recent split from the Morag Tong. During the late Third Era, the Morrowind Dark Brotherhood headquarters was located not far from the city of Mournhold. Their local leader, an Imperial known as Severa Magia, called herself the Night Mother. She lived in Aldsartha. During the Oblivion Crisis, the Dark Brotherhood was infamous and very well known throughout Cyrodiil and the rest of Tamriel. Within Cyrodiil, the Brotherhood was stationed, specifically in Cheydinhill Sanctuary. During this time, the Listener, which is the highest ranking member of the Dark Brotherhood aside from the Night Mother herself, was Yungalim, a wood elf who lived in the town of Bravel. The Listener heard the words of the Night Mother, and from her lips, the Listener received assassination requests in the form of prayers, also known as the Black Sacrament, by potential employers, marking how contracts were initiated and fulfilled. Each night he would visit the statue of the Lucky Lady. Unknown to all but the Listener and select members of the Black Hand, the statue of the Lucky Lady was actually the entrance to the Night Mother's crypt. Since the Oblivion Crisis, the Brotherhood has been fighting for survival. They had lost virtually all influence within Tamriel and resorted to doing petty murders within Skyrim. On the 27th of Sunheit in 4E 188, the city of Wayrest was lost to Corsairs, and by the 5th of last seed of the same year, the Wayrest Sanctuary was raided and destroyed by Corsairs. There were no survivors. On the same day, the Black Hand ordered the Corinth Sanctuary closed and its members sent to the Cheydinhill Sanctuary in Cyrodiil. During that same time, Bravel had become even more threatening with an eruption of violence due to the war of the two largest skooma traffickers in Cyrodiil. By the first of Sun's Dawn of the same year, the statue of the Old Lucky Lady was destroyed, and Alison Dupree, the Listener, left her private residence to guard the crypt of the Night Mother. Rasha, the Speaker, sent Garnag and Andronica to aid in the crypt's defense, but on the 21st of Sun's Dusk, Garnag returned alone with the stone coffin of the Night Mother. The crypt of the Night Mother had been raided with Andronica cut to pieces and Alison Dupree burned alive in a storm of mage fire. On the 4th of Evening Star in 4E 189, Rasha declared himself the new Listener, claiming that the Night Mother had spoken to him. He could not, however, name the binding word, so Cicero killed him. By the 10th of Sun's Dawn in 4E 190, there were only 3 people left in the Cheydinhill Sanctuary: Cicero, Garnag, and Pontius. On the 16th of Rain's Hand in 4E 191, Pontius was killed, and on the 29th of last seed of the same year, Garnag was presumably killed. At the beginning of the Dragon Crisis in 4E 201, the Dark Brotherhood was led by Astrid. Under her leadership, the 5 tenets were discarded, breaking with the traditions and culture of the previous 2 eras when the Dark Brotherhood was operated as a cult as well as a business. The Dark Brotherhood in Skyrim was reduced to a single sanctuary located just outside of Falkreath. The Night Mother's coffin traveled with the Night Mother's keeper, an eccentric jester named Cicero. The wagon Cicero was using to transport the coffin broke down near Lorius' farm. The remaining members of the Brotherhood are located to the Dawnstar Sanctuary after their Falkreath Sanctuary was destroyed due to betrayal of their leader. The only survivors of the Falkreath Sanctuary onslaught are Babette, Nazir, Cicero, and the Dragonborn, now the Listener and leader of the Dark Brotherhood. After moving the remaining members to the Dawnguard Sanctuary, the Dark Brotherhood continues to do contracts and recruit initiates, hoping to rebuild their faction to its once great former glory. Alright folks, that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed, please do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button and drop in the comments and leave me suggestions on new lore videos that you would like to see. And as always, make sure you subscribe to keep up to date with any of my new videos. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have safe travels in Tamriel, and I'll see you all in the next video.